All right. Stage 2 was a failure again. We got 4 out of 5, or maybe out of 8, because FaZe decided to play the best Counter Strike somehow. I don't know how or why or whatever, but they just managed to ruin everyone's. It's not just them; it's Aurora as well, who kind of fucked everybody up by losing multiple times and getting eliminated, not going to the stage 3. So there are more teams, the Party Vision somehow managed to go through, and Imperial of all people, that most of the people had like 0-3. So I am in that big pool of people that didn't get the 5. So whoever did it, props to them, respect. You are a better pick 'em player than I am, I guess. At least for this major. But let's go to the stage 3. Now we're not gonna keep this long. We're gonna keep it short. We're gonna try to make like reasonable logic behind it. It doesn't really matter if it's bronze or whatever. Like, I don't care at this point. I mean, I already missed 2, but I'm gonna try to get it right at least for the playoffs and the stage 3. But I'm gonna change my tactic a little bit because the other one obviously not working. I'm gonna go with the 0-3 first, and the first one is gonna be Party Vision. Party Vision. Party Vision plays the first game against Mouse Sports. They're gonna get slammed there 100%. I mean, we are talking about Torji and Mouse Sports and home crowd and all of this, and I think they're gonna put them on the crowd as well. Obviously, the game will be played in front of the Hungarians, and I think they're gonna do well. I think Party Vision is out of tricks. I think they played 2 great stages. They surprised everyone. James did it again with new players and managed to kind of outperform his former employee in Virtus Pro, and I think he's happy about it. But this is where they stop, and I think they're gonna be stopped the same way FlyQuest was stopped at the second stage. Well, not exactly the same way, because FlyQuest was destroyed in the first 2 games, and in the third game they didn't have much chances. So overall, they're gonna have the similar fate. They're gonna go 0-3. Now the second one, 0-3. I was looking between these teams, and the only one team that two teams that stand out completely of these ones are Pain and Passion UA. Now Pain is playing against 3D Max. I have on my left screen the matchups, because I'm recording this as they announce the matches and who plays who and everything. So they are playing against 3D Max, who just eliminated whoever they played in the 5th game, NIP, and in a very dominating way. So I think they're going to start off very well against Pain. I think they're going to be playing well in this group stage. I don't going to make the playoff, but the point is that I'm making is that Pain is going to be my next 0-3. I don't think they can match up against any of these teams. Any of these tier 1 teams or S tier teams or whatever you want to call them is going to be a tough game to play against. And when they run into the stage 2 teams that are already warmed up and played and have the feeling of everything, they're just going to stop there. This is the 2 teams that I'm picking for 0-3. The only thing that can stop me in this one, I think, is the fact if they beat each other in the 0-2 bracket or something. So yeah, the 3 zeros. It's a very difficult one, not gonna lie. But usually in this one, in these ones, I think Spirit will play well. Even though they had problems, I'm not really sure yet if I'm gonna pick them, but I'm gonna pick Vitality. Vitality is opening against FaZe, yeah. And it should be, on paper, people are thinking it's gonna be like a game that's gonna be tough or close or anything, but I do think Vitality is gonna run through FaZe, because FaZe have shown in the first stage they should not be, going into the second, and in the second stage they beat Aurora and they beat NIP in the third game. NIP, they didn't go through at the end, and Aurora didn't go through. I think they're gonna fall off a little bit. I did like the way Jacob was playing. I think that they woke up a little bit, but they're gonna be unmatched in the first round, or mismatched in the first round against Vitality. I think Vitality will elevate after that. They're going to be 3-0. The second 3-0 for me is Falcons. Even though they have a tough matchup, they do have a tough matchup against Bait. Bait played a lot of games this major, and it's a best of 1 Fate is dangerous, especially if they go into a map like Mirage. I think if Falcons are smart, they're gonna avoid that map. If that map is not Mirage, I think Falcons are winning that game. They're again like Vitality accelerating and going into the 3-0. Whoop. Maybe this is a sign that they didn't want to go through. Uh, now the teams that are gonna go through. Number one for me is Mouse. And I was thinking, and I'm still thinking, maybe I change it before this video ends to put Mouse as a 3-0, because I think they're gonna have an uh, easier draw. And I think in the 2-0 game, even if they face against Vitality, Falcon, or Spirit, they're still gonna have a decent chance to kind of go through as 3-0. So maybe I even change it right now. I'm gonna swap to these two spots. I'm gonna go with Mouse and Vitality as 3-0, and I'm gonna put Falcons as one of the teams that progresses with 3-1. The next team that progresses is gonna be Spirit. I think right now that even with the problems with Sveig and Tanier being inconsistent, Sveig being lost, and still they have Shiro, they have obviously Donk. They will still be good enough to go to the playoffs. 3-1, 3-2, I don't know. After that, what happens, I have to like see and talk about it after we go into the playoff kind of preview video, after I see them play in a few days. So, but I'm definitely gonna put them as a team that's gonna go through. Now we have 4 more spots, and one of the spots that I'm taking is G2. I think G2 has been, after that blast, has been going downwards. I know that in China they had a problem with Hunter being sick, he's not being able to play the elimination game, and then after that, before that, even they had like a couple of mixed results, not really what they wanted. But right now, I think they were in a boot camp. Actually, they were 100% in a boot camp because Hunter told us in the show that we did on Serbian podcast. I think they're gonna do well. Their first matchup is Passion UA. I don't think that's a matchup for them that's going to be too difficult to win. The only problem might be the adapting to the new PCs rather than, Passion already being adapted and warmed up and whatever you want to call it, which is a ridiculous thing to be on a major, but still, that's another topic. But G2 is going through that one. The next one is Navi. Navi is going to have, I mean, I watched them in the second stage, and I think they played really, really well. There are some couple of problematic things that I saw, but still nothing too crazy for them to not be able to handle it in this little break. Wonderful is playing really good. Bit is playing out of his mind. McCarthy is all right. He's not being bad, but and in those 3 components should be good enough to get you to the playoffs. I think, especially if you consider these teams that are remaining right here. So I do think that's going to be a easier task for them than people would imagine. The first matchup for them is really tough one. That's against Furia, and this is what's gonna, like I said, put them in a really, really good mood. And you give them a lot of confidence if they win that best of 1, and they're gonna, end up in a 2-1 game or a 2-2 game against somebody who is weaker than them, and they're gonna win. They're gonna be in playoffs, probably losing the quarterfinals, but that's gonna be there, and I'm putting them there. Now, the 5th team is 3D Max. The reason is the reason why I'm putting them is because I watched them last 2 games, and they looked really different than the first whatever games. They looked like they are actually a team. Even Duncan said they are the only CS:GO team that plays CS2. Like they look like a real unit. I think they like being around each other. They like playing with each other. That plays a lot in the events like Major. I think they proved it in the game against NIP in the very last game, and that's one day before this stage 3 starts. So you're going into it with a full on confidence. I think they're gonna be able to make it. I don't see them going past quarterfinals, but I think they should be 3-1, 3-2. Maybe if I'm wrong, they go 1-3, but still, I think they should be able to go through. Now the 6th team is a very problematic for me to pick. Obviously, everybody expecting me to pick Furia, or everybody is picking Furia, even as a 3-0 as a contender for the event, but I'm not gonna do either. I think they might fail on their asses on this one. I think might mistime their peak a little bit, not in their own fault, right? They played well in the last 4 events. By the timing and the form, they seem to be like a main contender. But like I said multiple times on multiple shows, podcast, these guys, major kind of environment, and this word that I hate to use, but vibe is completely different. The pressure is different. The everything around this event is different. We have Molodoi who played for what? I'm calling his first major. If he did that, I can't remember. Maybe he didn't. Maybe it's his first major. And then he's their most important piece. They're opening the game against Navi, who is a very dangerous team to play against, and they're gonna be ending up on maybe Overpass or Train, which both team thinks that they're gonna be like a good map for them. It's gonna be a tough battle. If they lose, they can start doubting themselves. That same Navi played against them in that finals, which they were up 2-0, and they lost 3 maps in a row, so they kind of know each other. But Navi back then, when they won 2-0 and lost 3-2, were not in the form they are now, and Furia is in the same form they were back then. So it was the start of their kind of run on those events, or maybe like somewhere down the middle. But overall, I think Navi has a decent chance in winning that map and crushing a little bit the confidence of Furia, so Furia can go down the lane really quickly. They can lose a best of one against Bait. They can lose a best of one against Liquid. They can lose a best of one against FaZe, or G2, or Spirit, whoever they beat. If somebody ends up losing, in these opening rounds, so I'm not gonna put them as 3-0 because I do believe they're not making the playoffs. I am probably gonna being wrong, but this is just a gut feeling and some logical thinking. Not like 100%. So the sixth team, I don't know. I don't know. We don't know what to expect from Mongols without Senzu. I don't think they're gonna do much. FaZe, they lost a lot of. They should not even be here, especially after the first stage. But they kind of made up to it in the second. So I don't know what to think there. Imperial is not a team that's gonna be there. Liquid, first day terrible. They should have lost against. Tyloo. Third map, fell way down. Match points, the missed grenades from Tyloo. Just too many coincidences for them, kind of to be, hoping for something great. They did manage to slam Astralis in the 2-2 game, which is kind of nice. But then Astralis is a dead team, which leave us to Passion UA and Bait. Passion UA, I don't really trust them at all, simply because they are too unpredictable. I do want to put Bait because they have been looking all right, and again, that can be the surprise. There is no too much of a reasoning behind this one, simply because I want to put one of the surprises. Then I think it can be Bait. So this is all of